What's up, everybody? Man, oh man, what a hell of a night for action. What a hell of a night for boxing. Masterful, sensational performance. Wait for a little bit more people to get in here. Saludos, tío Cesar. Baby, it's going down, it's going down. Hold them up real quick. Let's pop one open. Let's go. It's your boy Jimmy Blue, Mr. All Access Elite Boxing, reporting live from Dallas, Texas. I want to thank each and every one of our listeners today. Make sure to follow us on All Access Elite Boxing on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button. Make sure you're getting all your notifications and also leave us a comment. Follow us on All Access Elite Boxing on Facebook, All Access Elite Boxing on Instagram. And if you're on Twitter, make sure to tweet us at All Access Elite. Man, oh man, what a masterful, sensational, dominant performance tonight by Canelo Alvarez. Listen, leading up to this fight, there was no secret, man. Everybody made it a big deal, including myself. I'd be the first to admit that the size advantage was going to fluster Canelo Alvarez. Callum Smith was the number one ranked 168-pound fighter in the world. Was the number one ranked fighter in the UK in the world, was the WBA Ring Magazine champion, won the super middleweight tournament. The guy is a hell of a fighter, man. But Canelo Alvarez completely dominated him. I only gave one round to Smith, and it was the first round. Canelo Alvarez came out, man, with a man on a mission. He backed up Callum Smith the whole goddamn fight. Smith was fighting on his back foot the whole fight, was circling around the ring. He had absolutely no game plan, no answers, and wasn't even able to stop the smaller fighter in Canelo. Canelo's jab was precise. He threw it with precision. He was just on point with everything. His right hand, uppercuts, left hooks to the body. And when Canelo Alvarez was able to get Smith on the corner, in the ropes, he was able to do a lot of damage, a lot of different feints, great combinations, and he was an absolute bully in there, man. I am completely shocked by his performance tonight. Let's see here. Shout outs to Eva Lopez. She says, Canelo. Shout outs to Noe Miranda. What's good, man? What a fight weekend. Absolutely, man. Shout out to Noe Miranda. Tío César Pantoja, te dije, compadre, que Canelo iba a ganar. Ya sabes, tío. Saludos. Shout outs to Luis M. Carlos. Great performance by Canelo tonight. Ramiro Guerra. Saludos, compa. Shout outs to All Elite already, man. Shout outs to my boy Noe. El Doggy dice, boring fight. Jose Rendon, a.k.a. the Boxing Prophet. Great fight. Nobody through Smith was going to win. Not even Smith. Shout outs to Luis M. Carlos. Callum Plant or Saunders is next. Come on, man. Yuri Guerra, Ramiro Guerra. Let's go. Smith was the top fighter at 168. Come on. Shout outs to Jesse Salazar. Canelo's unstoppable right now. I absolutely agree. Listen, man, you guys got to understand. Canelo Alvarez went almost 13 months. He went 13 months without fighting, and you would have thought that he just fought 6 months ago. The guy was fresh. He was on point. He was spot on, and his face was completely clean. Callum Smith had no game plan. He couldn't land anything on Canelo. You guys got to keep in mind, Callum Smith had a 7-inch height advantage, 8-inch reach advantage, and copy box stats showed that with Callum Smith, he is the number one fighter in the sport of boxing to throw close to 40 jabs in a round, meaning that he throws the most jabs out of any fighter currently in boxing. He didn't throw 40 jabs against Canelo. Imagine if he would have thrown 40 jabs around against Canelo. Canelo had great timing, great speed, had great head movement, awesome defense. I mean, his reflexes were on point, man. I didn't know what Canelo's game plan was going to be, but you know what, man? From what we've seen from Canelo, he's never been a fighter who walks his opponents down. He's always been a counterpuncher, but tonight he was the hunter. And man, I was just so impressed tonight. I mean, you can tell that he wanted this win. He wanted it bad. He wanted to be the unified champion at 168. And by him winning tonight, man, it opens up so many doors for Canelo. Not that the doors were never open, but it allows him to kind of pick and choose what he wants to do. He can campaign at 168. He can campaign at 160 or even 175. But, you know, I'm not gonna lie, man. I thought that this fight was gonna be a very, very close fight. I thought Canelo was gonna win, but I honestly thought it was gonna be very close. I just thought that Callum Smith's jab was gonna give a tremendous amount of problems for Canelo, like Kovalev did in his last fight, because Canelo had a little bit of trouble adapting to Kovalev's size, as well as his jab, as well as his power. Canelo Alvarez was only up 1 round in the 11th round when he knocked out Kovalev on 2 of the judges' scorecard, and on the 3rd judge, it was a tie. So I honestly thought that Canelo had bitten off more than he can chew in this fight. But, man, I was extremely impressed, man. I got to give him his credit, and he is the best fighter in the world right now. Absolutely no debating, pound-for-pound king. And, you know, I'm a big Gennady Golovkin fan. I thought Gennady won both fights against Canelo, but one thing I can tell you is that if they do fight on Cinco de Mayo, that's going to be a very, very interesting fight. And I actually have Canelo, man. I have Canelo slightly ahead against Gennady Golovkin. I think Golovkin's just a little bit too slow for him. He's a little bit too old. He's 38 years old. But like I said, Canelo said after the fight that what he plans on doing is he wants to become the undisputed super middleweight champion. And in order for him to do that, I believe, in my opinion, his next fight is going to be against Callum Plant, which is the IBF champion. I think that's going to be his next fight with PBC on Cinco de Mayo. So look out for that fight. To me, in my opinion, that's an even better fight. I think Callum Plant is a little bit of a better fighter with Smith, but Smith didn't come with anything, man. He was scared to throw. To me, it seemed as if he was pawing his punches. He was jabbing, but he wasn't throwing with any conviction, any mustard, anything behind that jab. He didn't have any snap in his punches. And, you know, Canelo, he smelt that. He felt that within the first round, backing him up the whole entire fight. There was not one moment where Smith was like, you know what, man? I came all the way from the UK. I'm going to bite down on my goddamn mouthpiece, and I'm just going to go toe-to-toe with this guy. I'm the bigger fighter, have the longer reach, in which I feel like I'm the stronger puncher. And why didn't he let his hands go? It was Canelo that just didn't give it to him. And even Callum Smith said after the fight that he was extremely surprised with Canelo's jab. His jab was very powerful, man. He had a lot of pop to his punches. Canelo would jab, go down low, slip straight to the body, nice uppercut, nice 1-2. And, I mean, it was just Canelo's night, man. He was feeling himself, man. He was having fun in there. And, you know, the crowd definitely carried him. He was looking for the knockout. I actually thought he hurt Callum Smith in the 10th round. And, man, he had him on the ropes, man. Smith was almost down. And there was a point in time where you thought Callum Smith's trainers, or rather his brothers, were going to throw in the towel. No mas. You know what I mean? It was a very, very, to me, this was one of the most impressive wins by Canelo, by far. This is his most impressive win to me, as far as from a dominating standpoint, from a boxing standpoint. I mean, he didn't get touched. He only got touched 90. I think Smith only landed 90 punches throughout 12 rounds, man. Let's see here. Shout outs, let's see here. I don't know, man. Like I said, that's just my opinion. I want to hear what you guys got to say. I want to hear what you guys think of the fight. Overall, it was a great fight. I love the entrance of Canelo. I think that's really what electrified the crowd. You know, coming in with the trumpet player, and man, it was spectacular, man. I wish I would have been in attendance, man. The only thing that I didn't like from this DAZN was the camera angles. I didn't like the they just kept zooming in, zooming out from like a bird's eye view. I didn't like that, man. I'm a big fan of like the HBO type cinema, the camera where you're able to see, the punches, you're able to feel the punches. And I just feel that with DAZN, they just kept zooming in and out, and I didn't like that, man. Other than that, it was still a great show. Let's see here. And Dougie says, nobody through Smith was going to win. Nobody, even Smith. Luis M. Carlos says, Callum Plant or Billy Joe Saunders is next. Billy Joe Saunders would be a good fight. Jose Rendon says, Smith was the top fighter at 168. Come on. Jesse Salazar says, Canelo is unstoppable right now. I absolutely agree. Eric Reyes, shout outs to Eric Reyes. He says, Canelo's hand speed, his head movement broke Smith down. Absolutely. I think his hand speed his just his boxing IQ, man. He's a hell of a fighter. You know what I mean? I take nothing away from Canelo. He's a hell of a fighter. And what surprises me, well, rather, it doesn't surprise me, but a lot of fighters need to take note of this. Even through a pandemic, even through, everything that was going on, whether it was the lawsuit, whether it was him not knowing if he was going to fight again, not fighting in over 13 months, the guy stayed in the gym. He stayed in the gym perfecting his craft, and it shows, man. He's 30 years old, and now he's only fighting like once every year, and he hasn't lost a step. You know what I mean? And he went against arguably the best fighter at 168, man. And that's the crazy part about it. He went straight in there with the lion. You know what I mean? And he's victorious. He came, untouched, man. It was masterful. Surgical performance. You know what I'm saying? It was a complete dominance, man. I'm completely shocked, and I'm proud, man. I'm proud of him. He did very well. Said Canelo versus either of the Charlo brothers. Shout out to Dennis Cardenas. He says Canelo versus either of the Charlo brothers. I think that would be an excellent fight, man. But at this point, where would he fight him at? I think Canelo would have a little bit of trouble going down to 160. Now, Canelo did say earlier this week that he would be willing to fight Earl Spence Jr., the Truth, at 160 pounds. He feels that fight would sell. Obviously, on pay-per-view, Canelo Alvarez is a free agent at this point. He can fight anywhere with PBC, Premier Boxing Champions. He can fight with Top Rank on ESPN. He can even also continue fighting on these one-fight deals with Matchroom Boxing and DAZN. But it's really up to Canelo what he wants to do, man. I mean, he's his own boss. He's the A side. And with the exception of maybe Manny Pacquiao and Anthony Joshua, he calls the shots. Everybody wants to fight Canelo. There's so many fighters, man. Billy Joe Saunders, Jermall Charlo, Boo Boo Andrade. He went through Callum Smith. You still have Zurdo Ramirez, David Benavidez. You have Triple G. You even have Caleb Plant. You have not Usyk, but Alexander Ovechkin, the champion at 175. You even also have the other WBO champion at 175, Bivol, Dmitry Bivol. I mean, I just named you guys like 10 fighters that he can fight. A lot of these guys and a lot of these fighters are undefeated. You know what I'm saying? They all bring different elements to their game, to their craft that would make interesting fights. But I mean, like I said, man, Canelo is in a very. He said earlier this week that he wants to retire when he's 35 years old. And right now he's 30, going on 31. That means his time is ticking. But right now he's in his prime, man. When you see Canelo, you always see him getting better and better and better, man. And, I take a lot away from this performance. Like I said, to me, size is everything in boxing. I mean, there's weight classes for a reason. But, man, just with the tremendous amount of skill sets that he possesses, he showed no fear in there. You know what I'm saying? He was just on point with everything, man. And I was blown away. I was completely blown. I was shocked. Like I said, I was completely shocked. But kudos to him, man, and all of Mexico. Let's see here. J.M. Torres says blocked. Manolo Ruiz, Smith was done after the first round. Yeah, you can tell he was done. I don't know. I mean, Smith didn't want to make. Hold on, let me take a sip real quick. Smith didn't want to make excuses after the fight. He said, you know what, man, I feel like I may have outgrown this division. I may need to go to 175. But you know what, man? When people say things like that, I call bullshit. You know what I mean? To me, that's just an excuse. And it's like, yeah, you want to move up to 175, but even at 175, Canelo would have still gave you the business, man. He didn't come here to win tonight. He came here to lose. You're the champion. You're undefeated, man. You got to let your goddamn hands go. There was not one point throughout the fight where he let his hands go, let his combinations go. All he had to do was just keep popping the jab. Pop, pop, pop. Throw 3, 4, 5 jabs at a time. Let Canelo dodge and let him think as far as what you're going to be firing back at him. You see what I'm saying? And he just didn't want to pull the trigger. If anything, what he was doing, he was allowing Canelo to get on the inside, slowly but surely, letting him get in. And at that point, it was just target practice for Canelo. You know what I mean? It was like he was hitting the punching bag straight up. You know what I mean? And it was just, I don't know what the hell Callum Smith was thinking. I don't know what his game plan was, but I was just very disappointed with his execution, man. Because it's not like they haven't fought Canelo before in the past. His older brother fought Canelo, who was also undefeated, traveled all the way from the UK, fought him here in Dallas, Texas, and ended up getting knocked out in the 7th round, or the 8th round, whatever round it was. I mean, you can't play with this guy, man. You know, I remember when Gennady Golovkin fought Canelo Alvarez in the first fight, Canelo was on his back foot. Everybody knows Canelo doesn't fight well going backwards. You know what I'm saying? He's a great counterpuncher, but Canelo was just boxing around the ring the whole time because he was scared. Well, I don't want to say scared, but he was mindful as far as what Triple G possessed. He had a strong jab, had a strong right hand. He was probably the best and hardest puncher he's faced up until that point. So, I mean, he was very careful in that fight. You know what I mean? So what did Canelo do? He ended up making adjustments, ended up fighting Triple G in the rematch, and ended up bringing the fight to Triple G. Ended up bringing the Mexican style, what Triple G is known for, backing Triple G up, going toe-to-toe, forehead to forehead, and just, you know what, man, you land your one, and I'm going to fucking land 3 on your ass, you know? So, I mean, it was just a great performance tonight, man. I'm blown away. Yeah, he outlanded him by twice as many punches from Smith tonight, and it was just so odd. You could tell Canelo wanted to go for the knockout, especially towards the end of the round. He'd had him on the ropes, and he was just landing bombs, overhand rights, strong hooks to the body, straight right down the pipe, and he was landing beautiful uppercuts, man. And Smith did not have any answers for him tonight. Absolutely no answers for him. And you know what? It is what it is. Let's see here. El Doogie says, this was the same fight he had with Chavez Jr. Absolutely. The only thing is, well, you know what? I agree and disagree, El Doogie, because Chavez Jr. didn't even throw any punches. I remember it was like almost 6 rounds, and he was throwing like less than 10 punches around. I mean, at the very least, Callum Smith, they said that he threw 70 punches more than Canelo this fight, but he just didn't land anything. And that's credit to Canelo, because Canelo was moving side to side. He was jumping in and out, and he was pivoting out. And, I mean, he would make Caleb miss a lot of his punches, man. And when you're throwing hard punches and you're missing and hitting air, number one, it becomes discouraging. But number two, it also takes a lot of energy away from you. And you know what, man? It hurts your confidence in a sense, man, when you know that you have a smaller guy that's right there and you can't do anything to him. You can't even bully him. You can't push him back. He's not respecting you in that ring. You know what I'm saying? And it's just, man, dude, it's crazy. It's mind-boggling. It says Canelo styles make fights. Manolo Ruiz says Canelo bullied that boy like a freshman in high school. Absolutely. Jose Rende, Nelo dog walked a bigger fighter. Smith is a more natural 168. Nelo walked him down. You're absolutely right, man. He just walked him down completely. Walked the bigger fighter down. Who the hell does that? I don't think I've ever seen that before, to be quite honest. If you've seen that before, hit the comment. I want to know which fighter have you seen that's the smaller fighter walking down the bigger man, because I've never seen it. Not like that. Let's see here. Ramiro Guerra says the first round, Canelo was only studying him on steps, body language, speed, and power. True champion. Yeah, absolutely, man. It's like, you know, with these world champions, when you get to this level, a lot of times fighters are always going to take that first round off because they're programming everything in as far as what the opponent has, what is it that he's bringing, what can I do to time him, what can I do to counter him. Let me see, let me feel his power, let me see what he has. And, you know, a lot of fighters, man, once they get that first round in the books and are able to see everything that they need to see, it's game over. You know what I mean? It's as if they calculated or they solved the formula in order to crack the code and beat you at your own game. That you're going to do what I'm going to allow you to do type of deal. And that's what true champions do. Let's see here. Jose Renda says, Nelo won the second fight, in my opinion. He's talking about Triple G. It's debatable, baby. See, Javier Alejandro Ramirez says 13-month layoff, and he walked him down, a solid 168 fighter. Yeah, man, I agree. Like I said, he was off 13 months, man. And again, he didn't look all that great against Kovalev. This was a completely renovated, rejuvenated fighter that we saw tonight, man. Because some could argue that Callum Smith was a lot better fighter than Sergey Kovalev. Again, he was younger, quicker, faster, rangier, unbeaten, super middleweight champion, and I mean, he just gave him the business. I wonder, if there is one fighter that I feel that can give Canelo problems, I would like to see him against David Benavidez. You know what I mean? Benavidez is 23 years old. He's a tall, big fighter that comes forward, that throws. He is a volume puncher that's going to throw tons and tons of punches, combinations, and is going to back you up. You never see David Benavidez backing up, trying to fight off his back foot. That's not his style of fighting. And if you get somebody that has that true Mexican warrior spirit, that it wants to come forward and land and trade with you and just kind of take the fight to you, that's the fighter that you want to have. You know what I mean? I think that with David Benavidez, man, he's had problems obviously making the weight. He has a lot of issues outside the ring. But if he can get his career in order and back on track, that's the fight that I would like to see down the road, because it'd be Mexican versus a Mexican, Cinco de Mayo, or a Mexican Independence Day in September. And I think that fight would do relatively well, man, because David Benavidez is undefeated. And, I think he can make a better fight from a stylistic standpoint. Let's see here. I see Canelo. Shout outs to Eric Reyes. He says, I see Canelo as the closest thing to Floyd Mayweather as far as being dominant and all his fights getting attention and people always wanting to tune in to see him fight. It's hard to see him losing to anybody. It's hard to see him, see here. Yeah, he says, let me repeat that. He says, I see Canelo as the closest thing to Floyd Mayweather as far as being dominant and all his fights getting attention and people always tuning in to see him fight. It's hard to see him losing anytime soon. Yeah, man, you're absolutely right. But it goes back to him learning from his past fights. Remember, when he fought Mayweather, he was only 21, 22, 23 years old, however old he was. He took his first loss. He took his lump. And even Mayweather said, you know what, man? There's no shame in losing to me, because you know what? You're going to be the future of boxing. You're going to be boxing's next biggest superstar. You learn from it, go back to the drawing board and become dominant and become one of the greatest fighters in our era. You know what I mean? And that's exactly what he's doing. He learned from his loss, and he's just been dominant ever since. You know what I mean? And he's fought a lot of good fighters, man. I got to give him credit. He is a fighter that wants to test himself. He's not like, and he even took a shot at Triple G tonight. He's like, you know what, man? I'm willing to fight anybody. I'm willing to fight the best. You never see me sticking around, staying at one weight class, fighting my mandatories, fighting nobodies. I'm willing to fight the best, and I'm always willing to go up to accomplish that. I want to unify, and I want to be undisputed. So he was taking a shot at Gennady Golovkin. Everybody knows Golovkin looked great last night, man. But, I mean, truth be told, he wasn't going against anybody that was recognizable in the sport of boxing. Yeah, the guy was undefeated, but Gennady Golovkin should have got rid of that guy in 2 rounds, 3 tops. But you know what? He did what he had to do, man. Gennady got some rounds in. He looked dominant. He looked patient. He looked good. He looked sharp. So, and Gennady Golovkin ended up making history last night, man, having breaking Bernard Hopkins' record, 21 title defenses at middleweight. So, I mean, like I said, could we see that fight next? I think that the only reason we will see that fight, or rather the weight class that we will see it, would probably be 168. Canelo Alvarez, I think feels comfortable there. He looks strong there, and he's calling the shots, man. If you want to fight with me, your ass needs to move up to super middleweight. I mean, it's 8 pounds. From my understanding, when I spoke to Gennady and when I spoke to his trainer a few years back, his trainer told me, Abel Sanchez, that Gennady Golovkin walks around at 170, 172 pounds. That's at the most he's at 173. He doesn't really balloon up in between fights, and he has a very strict diet and a very strict like training regime that he's always training. You know what I mean? Whether with a lot of other fighters, man, these guys walk around 190, 195, upwards of 200 pounds, including Canelo. Canelo drops down to 168, so he walks around 188, 190. Even Earl Spence Jr. Earl Spence, at one point was weighing about 190 pounds, man, before he drops down. So Earl Spence has even mentioned, you know what, man, I need to stop getting so heavy in between fights. Now, if we see Earl Spence within the last 3 weeks since his fight, he's been training a lot. He's running. He's in the gym. He went on vacation, but he's still training. He's still running. He's still putting in that work, putting in those miles, man, because, he can taste it, man. He can see that a potential fight between him and Canelo is around the corner, man. As crazy as it sounds, it's right around the corner. People will pay to see that. Jose Rendon said, is Canelo pound for pound number one? Absolutely. Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt. Canelo Alvarez is the number one pound for pound fighter in the world right now. Hands down. Hands down. And you know what, man? Honestly, like I said, a lot of people, when they grade the pound for pound, they look at a lot of different things. They want to see how dominant is a fighter when they move up in with their level of competition, but also in certain divisions. If they were to move up or move down a division, how dominant would they be? Can they control the division? Can they beat the champions? Can they conquer the division, so to speak? Canelo Alvarez is a 4-time divisional champion. He's won a title at 154, 160, 168, 175, and and he's looked dominant, man. He's looked dominant in every win, and he's getting better and better. Like I said, he doesn't seem to lose a step, Earl Spence Jr. is arguably the best pound for pound welterweight at 147. I know a lot of people have the debate between either him or Bud Crawford. I still think it's Earl Spence Jr. You see what I mean? But I would like to see how Earl ends up finishing his career as he moves up to 154, 160, maybe even 168. I want to see how dominant he can be in other divisions, but I also want to see him fight the best, in which he is fighting a lot of great fighters at welterweight. But right now, man, is the era. Right now is the time where you have so many different fights that can happen, that you can make. And if you really want to build off of your legacy, you need to be able to get these marquee type fights. We need to see him against Bud Crawford. We need to see him against Manny Pacquiao, and maybe even somewhere down the line, him and Virgil Ortiz, straight out of Grand Prairie, Texas, baby. The future of boxing. Let's see here. Easy win. Ruben Escobar says, easy win by Canelo. Smith was throwing one punch per round. Absolutely. Luis Alberto Furanda. Shout outs to Luis. Says Canelo's defense was impressive. Absolutely, man. And he works and works and works and works. And, a lot of people that follow Canelo, man, on his social media, when they see him training, when they see him hitting the speed bag or hitting the punching bag, a lot of the stuff that he does, man, is just repetitive drills. Repetitive drills that he does. You know what I mean? The back step, the under round, over under. He's just, man, he is a great fighter, man. He's just a great fighter. Like I said, you don't see him out in the clubs. You don't see him out drinking, doing this or doing that. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? Everybody likes to have a good time, man. Everybody deserves it. When you're training, half of the year and you're in camp and you're just, you put your body through so much, you deserve to have fun, man. You deserve to take a vacation or live a little bit. You know what I mean? But boxing is, if one thing we've known, or rather what we've learned, is that boxing is a dangerous sport, man. You can't play it, man. So you have to go in there with a open mind, with a clear mind, and with the confidence that, you can win and you can be dominant, man. Because like you said, boxing is 90% mental and 10% physical. You got to have the right mindset, man, when you enter into that ring, because you never know what can happen. You got to be prepared for anything. No distractions. Let's see here. Gilbert Velasquez says, what up, loco? Any cheve tonight? Oh, man, you already know, bro. We stay sipping, baby. You know what I mean? Modelo, I need a sponsor. Carta Blanca. It does Barrelitos, Dos X. Pacifico, Tecate. Give me a call, man. Corona. We drink that Mexican beer, baby. Yeah, man, but let's see here. Canelo's skills are so prestigious that he makes the good fighters look really bad. That is why Smith looked horrible. Yeah, man, I agree. Shout out to Luis. He said his skill sets are so good that he makes all the other fighters look bad. And that's what happens, man, when you don't have a game plan. When you don't have a plan B, a plan C, or plan D, and if you can't make any sort of adjustments in a fight, that's how bad another fighter can make you look, man. If you don't come ready and if you don't come prepared. And if you're gonna fight scared, basically, say GGG needs to go up and fight Saunders and win that fight to fight Canelo if he gets through Plant. You know, Billy Joe Saunders is an excellent southpaw, man. He's a great mover, and I don't know if I don't know, man. That's a good point. I would like to see Triple G move up to 168, but it has to be the right opponent. You know what I mean? It has to be the right fight because he's getting up there. Obviously, Triple G is one of the best fighters to cut off the ring. He knows how to cut off the ring, but I don't know. It's just we'd have to see him at 168. But he has a lot of unsolved business, unfinished business at 160 with Bubu Andrade, with the Charlo brothers. There's just a lot of fights there that he still needs to fight. Let's see here. Then we can see part 3. Jesse Salazar said, "What's your opinion with Canelo and Spence?" Look, man, I think Spence is a hell of a fighter, man. I think he is the best welterweight. I think he can campaign at 154 and become a world champion. But him moving up to 160 and Canelo moving down to 160, if we see the Canelo that we see tonight, there's no way that Earl Spence can beat him. That's just my opinion. I think that Canelo's not going to respect Earl's ability, his boxing ability or power. I can see Earl making it interesting by getting on the inside, landing body shots, but I think Canelo's seen it all, man. I think he just has a lot of experience. You know what I mean? So, and obviously, I don't think Canelo has fought anybody as strong as Canelo or as with the reflexes of Canelo. So I would see Canelo winning a unanimous decision, man, because it'd be a hell of a lot asking for Earl to move up 2 weight classes to fight a much bigger guy. But, man, who knows, man? Like I said, that's the beauty about boxing because one punch can change a fight and, anybody can. It's not like basketball, baseball, football. You can't have one off night in boxing. You see what I'm saying? If you get one loss, the fans jump on you. You get another loss, then that's it, man. Your career starts going down the drain. You either become a gatekeeper or, start fighting for peanuts, man. And that's just the shitty part about boxing, but it's a business, You got to perfect your craft. You got to be the best in the world. Salud to the whole boxing world already. Shout outs to Manolo Reese. Salud. Let's see here, man. Yo, if you guys want to call in, man, if you guys want to call in with your camera, man, send me an invite. Let's see here. It says Luis Alberto. He says he's very efficient and throws punches and is with surgical precision. Absolutely, man. Are you? I would assume that you're talking about Canelo. Albert Vega says Canelo dejó de enganar el público, pelear con los mejores como lo hizo Julio César Chávez y mejor peleador del mundo mexicano. Yeah, man. What he's saying is basically that one thing that I always got on Canelo about in the past was his decision making when it came with him fighting fighting certain fights. You see what I'm saying? Picking certain fighters. And a lot of it had to do with, some people saying, oh, he was cherry picking, or oh, it was his promoter, or oh, it was just him making a business decision. But at the end of the day, he's already released himself with Golden Boy. And for him to go straight to 168 and fight the number 1 guy, to me, that tells me something. You know what I'm saying? This tells me, you know what? Maybe he's not about the money. Maybe he's now about his legacy. I don't know. But, I want to see where his career, this second half of his career, is going to lead, man. Because if tonight is a good illustration of that, then, hey, man, he may very well beat a lot of these other undefeated guys, a lot of these other top dogs, man, and he's just going to continue adding to his legacy, And But to me, when Canelo would fight Amir Khan, Chavez Jr., guys like that, man, where he had absolutely Rocky Fielding, where he had absolutely no business fighting, it kind of hurt him a little bit, man. It kind of gave his name and his legacy a little bit of a black eye. Let's see. Do you think he would go back up to 175 to take on Better BF or Bivol? You know what, man? I don't know. Because those guys are damn good punchers, man. They're strong punchers. And I can guarantee you that these guys will not get backed up like Callum Smith did. Callum Smith is a long-rangey fighter. But even though a lot of fights with Callum Smith, man, he would like to fight on the inside. He would always fight on the inside, man. You know what I'm saying? So for Canelo to go in there and just dominate him, it is what it is. I don't think if he does move up to 175, the problem is that these guys are European fighters, and a lot of people don't know who these guys are unless you're a hardcore boxing fan and not a casual. You know what I mean? These guys are definitely world champions. They're great fighters. It will be entertaining, and man, I'd love to see that, man. It'd be a damn good fight. Damn good fight. Great question. Let's see here. Pedro Paredes says pound for pound. Canelo. I like that. Canelo Alvarez. Ruben Escobar. Modelo time already, man. Shout out to my boy Rudy Suarez, baby. Man, it was a great night. Great night of boxing, man. My boy Gilbert Velasquez says, man, why are you hiding in the garage, man, drinking Cheve? You know what I mean? Because I got my kids inside, man. Otherwise, I'd go in there. You know what I mean? Shout out to Ramiro Guerra. Albert Vega, he got paid for that. Let's see here. Ezequiel Flores Jr. Canelo le dio a la madre a Smith. Hoy no más. Viva México, cabrones. Así es. Le puso una pinche madriza al güey. Puros vergazos y putazos. He was on the ropes and fucked him up. Yeah, man. Like I said, when Smith was laying on the ropes, I don't know if he was fatigued or tired or what the deal was. Canelo was just laying bombs on him, man. Canelo had a lot of pop tonight, man. He looks strong in this division. He looks really, really strong. I'm so impressed, man. I'm really impressed. Los que no saben el boxeo no miran bien los engaños de Canelo. Jose Rendon said that's a bad fight for Benavidez because Canelo is a counterpuncher, but it would be an entertaining fight. Yeah, it would. And, Benavidez is a come-forward fighter. He's a big guy. He's a volume puncher. And, if you're able to throw off Canelo's timing with, throwing constant punches coming forward, it may create a little bit of problems for Canelo. You know what I mean? He probably won't be able to set up and, who knows, man, But he is definitely a great counterpuncher, which is to your point. Maybe Benavidez will walk into a punch. You know what I'm saying? Carlos Martinez says, Eddie told Canelo what to do, and he executed. Absolutely, man. Eddie Reynosa, man, is arguably one of the best trainers in boxing, man. He actually has a very strong stable of Mexican world champions and former world champions. So he has a lot of knowledge, man. Obviously, with Canelo being his main pupil, you know what I mean? I feel that they know each other, man. They're like the yin and the yang. They understand each other. They respect each other. And a lot of his instructions tonight were spot on. You know what I mean? He told him everything that Smith was going to throw, how he was going to throw it, when he was going to throw it, and what to expect, what to counter off of that punch. And Canelo was just went in there, executed, man. He was like a machine in there, like a man on a mission. I gave Callum Smith 1 round, bro. 1 round, which was the first round, I think. And he barely even won that round. You can make the argument, fuck it. We can say we gave him 2 rounds. 2 rounds at the most. But it was just all Canelo. He dominated, man. Completely dominated. Carlos Martinez says, Eddie told Canelo what to do. Campeonato Peleas. My boy Joel Alvarez already, Mr. All Access Elite Boxing. Already, bro. Shout outs to my boy Joel. No se emocionan. Cualquiera pelea así se paga para los que no le pegan. Shout outs to Albert Vega, man. Comprando peleas es el mejor. Canelo no es me engaña a mí. Jesse Salazar say, I see you drinking Modelo, man. Salud, my man, already, brother. You know, we always stay sipping, man. You know, beer, boxing, family, in that order. No, I'm just messing with y'all guys, man. I'm just messing, man. But, you know, you can't watch a fight without drinking a cold one, man. You know what I mean? It is what it is. You know, I remember at one point in time, Tecate and Modelo, Corona were really into boxing. They were sponsoring, I think, Canelo, Alvarez. They were always sponsoring the big pay-per-view fights. And now you got Hennessy that came in, man. But after this pandemic kind of hit and pay-per-view was kind of going under, a lot of these big alcohol companies started getting out, man. And which was crazy because I remember on big fight nights, I'd go to the beer store and shit, they'd have promotions where, you know what, you buy an 18-pack and they're taking $20 off of the pay-per-view. And it's like a rebate that you got to send in. And, man, that's a great idea. You got, you know, us Mexicans, man, you order a pay-per-view, you're bringing the whole cousins, primos, familia, todos, tíos, a la chingada, having a big old fight party. And you're using that money, man. You're buying all the beer, and guess what, man? You're gonna send in for a rebate. You know what I mean? That was a smart idea by the beer companies. Let's see here. Do you have any merch for sale? Haha, or shirts? Shout out to Jesse, man. You know what, man? We're working on that, bro. We're working on that. We had shirts, we had merchandise at one point, man, but we sold out. Again, at All Access Elite Boxing, and we're working on that, man. So hopefully, man, we'll have hats, we'll have beanies, we'll have sweaters, shirts, tangas, everything, baby. Something for the ladies, man. But most definitely, bro, we'll keep you posted, man. Richard Rojas, shout outs to Richard Rojas. He said Smith's not that good. The whole weight class is not that good. Too slow for Canelo. Fight GGG without Golden Boy judges will be fair now. You know what, man? I see what you're saying, brother. But the 168-pound, the thing is, in my opinion, man, the biggest difference between 160 to 168 obviously is the weight. But to me, it's also the size. A lot of these fighters, man, they're all over 6'2", 6'3", 6 foot tall. Zurdo Ramirez walks around at 6'3", 6'4". You have David Benavidez, who's about 6'3". You have Callum Smith, who's about 6'3". Well, even with Caleb Plant, I mean, Caleb Plant is at 5'11", 6 foot tall. Billy Joe Saunders, I think, is like 6'1", 6 feet tall. I mean, those guys are just a lot bigger, man. Just more naturally bigger fighters, you know. And I don't necessarily say that it's the skill sets that separates the fighters from 160 to 168. I just think more so it's just the size, the height advantage. You know what I mean? But everybody's good fighters in their own right. It says, wow, someone reported my comment. I don't know who reported it, man. I wonder who. Let me find out. I think it was a certain Canelo hater. Sergio Pesina, Canelo versus Munguia. Oh, man. Shout out to my boy Sergio Pesina. He says, Canelo Alvarez versus Jaime Munguia. Look, man, I like Jaime Munguia. But the issue, or rather the problem to me is that he's fought nobody of worth. He's 22 years old, 23 years old, and he's kind of learning on the job. You know what I mean? I think they moved him too fast into a title shot opportunity, which to his credit, he ended up winning, ended up becoming world champion. But there's still a lot of flaws in his game, man. There's still a lot of holes in his arsenal. You know what I mean? And it sucks because he ended up becoming world champion. Nobody thought he would be champion at that point in his career. And it's like he's having to learn on the fly. So they're having to move him really carefully, fighting a lot of, you know, decent fighters, but no fighters that are ranked within the sanctioning bodies. And he had to vacate his title at 160 because he couldn't, 154 because he couldn't make the weight anymore. Munguia has no defense. He has, you know, he pops his head up high when he throws. He's a strong puncher, but I feel that when it's going to be, it's just a matter of time before he walks into a punch or before somebody seriously drops him. And you know, Charlo could be one of them. Just anybody, Triple G could be one of them. Canelo could be another one. I mean, he's just susceptible, man. There's just too many flaws. Now, I like the idea that Munguia's undefeated. He's he's won a title at 154. Now he's trying to win another title at 160. But I don't think Munguia has the skill sets to even compete with Canelo. I'm sorry, he doesn't. And I don't think Golden Boy is gonna want to do that, man. Because he's with Golden Boy, so I just don't see it. I don't see it happening. Let's see here. Jesse Salazar says, "What do you think about Tony Lopez and Raymond Ford? My respects for Tony and taking that fight on 1 week notice." You know what, man? I saw that fight, bro. I think the difference was the speed, bro. The speed. I think Lopez obviously has the experience. He comes from a great boxing gym out there in Fort Worth. Shout out to Coach Ray Ray. But he was in the fight, man. And what I really enjoyed about that fight, Jesse, was the fact of how the fans were behind Tony, man. When Tony would land nice combinations, or when he would put Ford against the ropes and start letting his hands go a little bit, or when he would land something of worth, the fans were getting behind Tony, man. I just thought Tony was just a little bit too patient, man. And I knew why he was doing it. I understood why he was doing it, because he was trying to time him. He was trying to pace himself. And, the other kid, man, he's younger. He's just going to throw a lot of punches. He's going to try to look impressive. But, he was in there with Tony, man, and Tony gave him a good fight, bro. And I think both of them learned something from that fight. I'm glad Tony's okay. He got dropped, but he got up like a warrior and tried to finish the fight and went all the way to the 7th round. And he got punched with a punch that he didn't see coming. But it's just, from a stylistic standpoint, Jesse, it's always difficult, man, when you have two southpaws fighting each other. Because I can almost guarantee you that those guys, they don't normally see that in the gym. They don't normally spar guys that are another left-hander, you know what I mean? A southpaw versus a southpaw is just so rare, you know what I mean? So, I mean, both fighters came out healthy, man. It was a good fight. It was entertaining. It belonged on a card like this, and I'm just glad both of them are okay, man. You know what, man? You win some, you lose some, you pick yourself up, man. You dust yourself off, and you just get going, man. You know what I mean? On to the next one. Learn from your mistakes and get better. Go back to the drawing board and just keep pushing, man. Keep grinding, because it takes a lot of balls. It takes a lot of courage to get in the ring, man. So I'm nobody to talk shit. You know what I mean? Because it takes a lot of heart, man. It takes a lot of courage. Gilbert Velasquez, Canelo was walking him down to the ropes. Absolutely, Canelo had him on the ropes multiple times. Could have finished him on some, and some almost looked like he backed off to punish him and prove a point to his style. Yeah, man. And a lot of people even said that yesterday with Gennady Golovkin. Gennady Golovkin could have got rid of his fighter yesterday, but he was there to punish him. He wanted to punish his fighter, man. He wanted to break him down. And sometimes, man, it is what it is, man. It wasn't because Canelo wasn't trying. You know what I mean? He was landing some decent shots on him, but like I said, it's just it was just one of those things, man. Like I said, he's a damn good fighter. I'm proud of him, and he's one of the best for sure. Where's everybody tuning in from, man? Shout outs to everybody from Dallas, everybody from Houston, Austin, San Antonio, Laredo, El Valle, El Paso, everybody from California, everybody from New Jersey, everybody from Oklahoma, Philadelphia, the Philippines, New York, Miami, Florida. Shout outs to everybody, man. Los Angeles. Ramiro Guerra says, saludos from Palmview, Texas. My boy Joel Alvarez says, I'm going to make you a shirt. Huge shout out from Aurora, Illinois, bro. Already, man. Shout out to Illinois. Luis M. Carlos says, Munguia has no defense and would get knocked out by Canelo. I would agree, man. Manolo Reese says, my boy Julio Cesar Martinez didn't fight tonight. I was looking forward to it. Yeah, man, I think he caught COVID, bro. I think he caught COVID, and that's what happened. Yo, you know what? A lot of people don't know, man. Julio Cesar Martinez is a rapper, bro. He has a rap Spanish album. He has like some dudes from his neighborhood and shit, where they go to the studio, man. They drop some bars and shit, man. He's a damn good Mexican rapper. He got a lot of skills. Let's see here. Los Angeles, shout out to Gilbert Velasquez, Los Angeles, California. Shout out to my boy Big Lou Martinez, man. What up, Jimmy Blue? Shout out to Big Lou, man. My boy Gilbert, Los Angeles. Albert Vega, vete mirar lucha libre. He says, vete mirar lucha libre. La triple A, güey. Puro pinche rudos. Esta pedo tu Wi-Fi is tripping. I'm gonna have to look it up. Yeah, man, for sure, bro. He's a good rapper, bro. I think I found him on YouTube, man. He was on Instagram Live, bro. He was live in the studio session, bro, and that's where I heard it. But when he ended up actually winning the title, the week that he won the title, he went to the studio over there in his neighborhood with his homies and shit, man. They're from like a fucking barrio and shit, man. They got some nice little bars, bro. They can spit for sure. But what other questions do y'all have, man? Like I said, man, shout outs to everybody tuning in, man. Talk about Ryan Garcia versus Luke Campbell. You know what, man? I took my homie on the bet. I betted my homie tonight. I think Ryan Garcia is going to stop Luke Campbell. I think he's going to knock him out. You know, we give a lot of credit to a lot of these European UK fighters, man. But I think Ryan Garcia, he's been training with Canelo now, 2.5 years. He's getting better, and he's been getting a lot of these one punch knockouts, first round, second, third round knockouts. And I'm not saying that he's going to knock Campbell out that quickly or that fast. But I do think that Ryan Garcia, man, he's out there to prove a point. He wants to get a lot of these bigger fights against the Tank Davis, Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez, you know, a lot of these other big name fighters, man. And in order for him to do that, in order for him to make a name for himself and be Golden Boy's #1 guy, the Golden Goose, he's going to need to have a sensational performance here in Dallas in 2 weeks on January the 2nd. He's been wanting a big fight. He's been wanting to fight somebody of worth. And you know what, man? Oscar De La Hoya is giving him that opportunity. He was originally supposed to fight Jorge Linares last year in February, and then again this year in February, and then it just kept getting postponed and postponed. And now he's going against Luke Campbell, man, he's definitely a viable opponent, man. You know, he's a credible opponent. You know, former titleist, former champion. I mean, it's going to be interesting, man. But I think Ryan Garcia is going to win that fight, bro. I really do. I think he's just too quick. And he's just going to, Luke Campbell's not going to, he's not going to know how to handle his speed. Gerardo Hernandez, it says, Paul Rizzo, saludos, compa. What do you think about Canelo picking his fighters? You know what, man? Like I said, he's in that position to be able to do that at this point in his career, man. I think he's earned that right. You know what I mean? He's been a professional fighter since the age of 15 years old. Now he's 30. He's been in the pros for 15 years, man. And it's not like he hasn't fought the best or fought anybody. Yeah, I give it to you, man. Sometimes he tends to fight guys that are at the later stages in their careers. I'm gonna give you some examples: Miguel Cotto, Sugar Shane Mosley, El Perro Angulo, you know, Chavez Jr. when he had no business fighting Chavez Jr. Amir Khan, he had no business fighting Amir Khan. You know, those are five fights that I just named you. You know what I mean? Even Kovalov came, yeah, he was the WBO champion at 175, but he had just recently got knocked out twice. You know, he had been knocked out by Andre Ward. He got knocked out by Barrera, the champion, the guy from Colombia, Elisander Barrera, I believe his name is. But I mean, whatever, man. Kovalov was 37 years old, I believe, 36, 37 years old. So it is what it is. It's a title that you add. You know, but I think he's earned that shot, man, and I respect it. Ed and Yvette Estrella against anybody's. Let's go. Manolo says, much love, big bro. Cheers to the boxing world already, man. Cheers to the boxing world. Jimmy Blue, when does Anthony Reese fight again, and with who? Shout out to my boy Sergio. He says, when does Andy Reese fight again? You know what, man? Grab a drink right quick. No, we stay ready, baby. You know what, man? Andy Reese has been training I don't know how serious he's been taking his training. I know he joined Canelo Alvarez, and man, from what I understand and from what, at least from what I've seen from social media, he's been having a lot of different problems, man. I ain't trying to throw his business out there, but I mean, whatever. You know what I mean? He's been having a lot of problems outside of boxing, not with money, not with fights, just with, with the ladies, marital problems, whatever you want to call it. It is what it is, man. His ass needs to stay focused. He needs to stay in the gym, and he needs to train. He's already hit that mountaintop, and he fell, man. He fell bad. And it's like, you don't want him to be another James Buster Douglas. You know what I'm saying? Andy Reese has skills, man. He has skills to compete at the heavyweight level. He just needs to train, man. He needs to take his craft serious. And, if you really want to build, you got to fucking work, man. You know what I mean? A long time ago, I'm going to tell you a quick story. For those of you that watch boxing and that know boxing, okay? A long time ago, I want to say about 5 years ago, I covered my very, very first fight ever. And it was here in Dallas. It was on a solo boxeo fight night card. I don't know if you guys remember the solo boxeo fight night series. It was on Unimas. It was a network that was teamed up or partnered up with Top Rank and showcased a lot of their up-and-coming prospects, contenders, a lot of their Mexican fighters. And it was a great outlet for Top Rank and Bob Arum because they needed to have fighters that they can showcase to the Mexican public in order for them to kind of follow their careers, gain a little bit of a fan base, and just kind of keep their fighters busy. Okay, and they would go to a lot of these smaller towns, not smaller towns, but smaller venues, but they would put really, really good fights on. Well, one time Solo Boxeo came here to Dallas, okay, and I remember putting in my credentials to cover the fight, and I was so nervous because I didn't think I was going to get approved, man. I probably had maybe about 100 followers. And you know what, man? I was able to get in. I spoke to the promoter and the matchmaker, not the matchmaker, but the fight coordinator, and I was able to get in. And, man, I remember it was just like a dream come true, man. Being able to cover fights, being there ringside, just the atmosphere was amazing. And I remember one of the ring announcers for Unimas Solo Boxeo was three-time world champion Israel Vasquez, El Magnifico Vasquez. And I remember growing up watching Israel Vasquez having wars with Juan Manuel Marquez's brother, man, Rafael Marquez. And I think those guys fought 4 times, man. And he used to train, and he used to be trained by Freddie Roach, man. You know what I mean? And I think those guys were like 2 for 2. I can't remember. But, man, if you talk about like a Ward Gotti type fight, you talk about an Eric Morales versus Barrera type fight, you cannot speak about as far as trilogies or even those type of fights where it's toe-to-toe without bringing up Israel Vasquez and Rafael Marquez. Now, I remember one time I interviewed, when I met Israel Vasquez, he was so cool, man. We were chopping it up backstage, and we were just kind of, shooting the shits, man. And we were talking boxing, and I asked him at the time, I think they were trying to make a fight with Canelo Alvarez and Julio Cesar Chavez. And he told me a story that he remembers, and mind you, Israel Vasquez is from DF, he's from Mexico City, he was a world champion, and he's from Mexico. He said he remembered just how Chavez Jr. was being brought up and how he was being raised, and that he remembered one time Chavez Jr., somebody pulled up in a Lamborghini or something, and he was like, Chavez Jr. wasn't impressed and was like, you know what, mi papá también tiene uno, mi papá tiene tres, or something like that. And he didn't really he felt that Chavez Jr. was just a spoiled brat. Like the way he just came off with the way that he said it about his father, about him having this or him having that, told him everything that he needed to know, right? So when I asked him, well, what do you think, Chavez Jr. is lacking? You know what, as a matter of fact, it was when Chavez Jr. lost his belt, when he lost to Sergio Martinez, and then he was trying to move up and ended up moving up to a light heavyweight at 175, and ended up fighting Fonfara and ended up getting knocked out, I think, in the 7th round. And that was the first time that Chavez Jr. had ever been knocked out. And he quit in the ring. He quit. He absolutely quit in the stool, and he didn't want to come out. He got dropped. And He goes, you know what? It's hard. He told me, listen, it's hard to do road work when you're waking up in silk pajamas and silk sheets. And I was like, damn, that was the first time I ever heard that. But for a former world champion to spill that knowledge to me and tell me, look, man, this is a poor man's sport. A lot of these guys, they grow up with nothing. You know what I mean? These guys work their way up to become something, to become champions. And once they do become champions, they want to be able to hold it as long as they can. They appreciate it more. But if you come from a background of money, if you don't come from poverty, you don't have that mindset, that desire, man, to be great, to be this, because you already know what it's like because you grew up with it. So you're not gonna try as hard. You're not gonna fucking wake up at 3, 4 in the morning, go do road work and do all the hard work and training, eating noodles, not knowing when your next meal is gonna be, shit like that, man. Shit that kind of motivates fighters today, man. There's a lot of fighters that are still training and still, that we may not even may have even heard of, man, that are soon to be world champions. You know what I mean? Somewhere down the line, 3, 4, 5, 6 years from now. Every fighter has a story. Like my boy Jose Rendon, aka the Boxing Prophet, always says, every fighter has a story, man. And that's the beauty about boxing, because it allows you to engage with these fighters, understand where they come from, understand their backgrounds. And, and that's the beauty of boxing, man, because it's unity, brother. It brings everybody together. You can be from the fucking barrio de Mexico. You can be from the slums of Harlem, all the way from East LA. I mean, it doesn't matter, bro. You can be from Kazakhstan. You can be in a communist government in China or even Cuba. And, but boxing is the teller of all truth, brother, once you in the ring. You know what I mean? The ring ain't going to lie. You either have the skills or you don't, But I remember, again, when Israel Vasquez told me that, man, I was like, man, that's dope as shit. It's hard to do road work when you're waking up in silk pajamas, And that's what he told me about Chavez Jr. 6 years ago. And until this day, it's whole truth, man. You know what I mean? It's whole truth. So and that just goes to my point with Andy Reese. He's already hit the top. And it's like now he's already hit rock bottom. He already knows what it feels like. He doesn't want to lose again. But in order for you not to lose, man, you need to do everything that you did up to that point to get to that point. You know what I mean? So, who would I like to see him fight next? There's 2 fighters that I have in mind. Chris Arreola, the Nightmare Arreola. I think that would be a great fight. I think Chris is obviously, he's more of a gatekeeper now at the heavyweight division. But I think it would be an entertaining fight, man. Or Luis Ortiz. I would like to see those 2 fights, at least for Andy Reese's comeback. And if Andy Reese is able to get through both of those guys, at that point, you could put him against any of the other guys, whether it be Fury, Wilder, or any of those guys, man. Joyce, possibly Usyk. But I don't know, man. It's up to Andy Reese. Like I said, he hasn't fought in over a year, man. Last time he's fought was in December of last year. What has he been doing since then? You know what I mean? Let's see here. Shout outs to Jesse. He says, did you see the Zurdo Ramirez fight last night with El Tigre? Yeah, man, I did actually, bro. I saw the fight. Man, that was a fucking war. That was a hell of a fight, man. My respects to El Tigre Lopez. He came out. He was 38 years old, man. I think he was ranked number 5 or number 7 by the WBO. That motherfucker came to fight, man. He was in his backyard, and I love how he went out on his shield, man. He was a true warrior, a gladiator. Toe-to-toe action, nonstop. I just think that Zurdo he's just a better fighter, man. He was just a little bit better. He was quicker. He's fought better opposition at a higher level. You know what I mean? And there was times where he caught Zurdo, man. I thought Zurdo was going to go down, man. But Zurdo has a chin, and he just kept coming forward. He's a southpaw, and he just throws a lot of punches, man. He's a volume puncher. So I think Tigre gave it his best. I think everybody would be proud with his efforts. And overall, I thought it was a great fight, man. He represented Texas well. Shout outs to Tigre Lopez. Let's see, Ed and Estrella says, nah, that's why that fight never happened, because Linares' last performance. Mayito Abregon, who's next for Canelo? Paul Rizzo said, what what will it take for Spence Crawford to happen? You know more than me. You know what, man? That's a great point. Hey, that's a great question. Shout outs to shout outs to Paul Rizzo. He says, what would it take for Spence Crawford to happen? You know what, man? What's crazy to me is, Earl Spence went on DAZN tonight and stated, in order for the Crawford fight to happen, I need a 70-30 split or 60-40, and we'll make the fight happen. Now, I'm a big believer in boxing. To me, it's a what have you done lately business, okay? Earl Spence Jr. is the unified champion. He's fought his last 3 fights on pay-per-view. Obviously, they have sold decent, with Mikey Garcia being the one that he sold the most. But in order, and Crawford had his very first pay-per-view sold about 50 to 75,000 pay-per-views against Victor Postal, okay? With Amir Khan, it was rumored that he sold about 90,000 pay-per-views. Everybody said, give or take 130. Okay, I'll give you that. Bud Crawford is a tremendous fighter. He's a hell of a fighter, man. This guy has skill sets like nobody's business. But he's not a pay-per-view attraction. He's not going to put asses in seats. He's not going to sell pay-per-views, okay? Earl Spence at least can sell at a very minimum 250,000 pay-per-views at the very least. You put both together, I think this would have the potential of selling at least 700,000 pay-per-views or more. But I feel that if Earl Spence Jr. is the unified champion at the welterweight division, he deserves the bigger share of the pie. I think he deserves 60-40. Take your 60. You got one belt that you're bringing to the table. You're trying to win 2. If you're so certain that you can beat Earl Spence, take the fight. What's stopping you, man? Take the fucking fight. Beat Earl Spence, take his belts, and you have all 3 titles in the welterweight division, with the last one being Manny Pacquiao. You can be undisputed. You would be potentially, and I could be wrong, I don't think there's ever been a fighter in the sport of boxing that's been a undisputed back-to-back champion in 2 separate weight classes. I don't think that's ever been accomplished in the sport. I could be wrong. And if I'm wrong, man, please let me know. But I don't think I've ever seen that happen. Crawford has won all the titles at 140. He became the undisputed Ring TV, Ring Magazine, the lineal champion at 140. Goes up to 147, has a WBO, but he hasn't fought anybody. Who has he fought? Imagine if he were to fight Earl Spence, beat Earl Spence, take his belts, gets a mega fight with Manny Pacquiao, beats Manny Pacquiao, then you become a back-to-back undisputed world champion. Wow, you know what I'm saying? But Crawford's 33 years old, man. He's going on 34. He's getting up there in age, man. You know what I'm saying? He says Armstrong might have done it. Henry Armstrong, yeah, possible. I don't think this happened. I'd have to look it up, man. But I think, if you're Crawford, man, make the fucking fight, man. You keep saying that you don't need Spence and you don't need him for your legacy. Bullshit, bro. Nobody's trying to hear that shit, because at the end of the day, I think both guys are fighters, they're gladiators, and I think that they don't ever want to go out or retire, man, without knowing that they could have fought each other and that they did it, because it'd be stupid. At this point, it's all about egos. You know what I mean? They have too much ego. It's like, man, come on. Come to an agreement. At the end of it, fuck it. Let's go. 55-45. Let's do it. Give Spence 55%. You take 45. Or you know what? Winner takes 60. Loser takes 40. And the hell with it, man. You know what I mean? Do it like old school, man. I remember back in the day when you want to make a bet with somebody, shit, you're fucking putting your car title on the line. Let's go. You know what I mean? Bet the fucking house. You know what I'm saying? Boxing's a little different. You know what's crazy is I remember when Fernando Vargas, when he fought Sugar Shane Mosley, Fernando Vargas was so confident that he was going to beat Sugar Shane Mosley that he bet him $100,000. I think it was. It was either, I think it was $100,000. $100,000. Correct me if I'm wrong. And Fernando was a man of his word, and he ended up paying Sugar Shane Mosley after the fight because he was a man of his word. You know what I mean? But I think that's what it's going to take, man. I think The only way that that's going to happen, bro, is I think Bob Arum and Top Rank are going to have to get out of. They're going to have to get out of the way for this. You know what I'm saying? It's rumored that Terrence Crawford has up until October on his contract before he's released or before they let him go. But I think Bob Arum and Top Rank, they're already too much invested in him, man. They've already spent millions of dollars. They know that they're not going to get it back, and even if they do make this pay-per-view fight, they know they're going to have to be the B side on it. So they're not. I mean, I don't know, man. It's just a pissing contest. But I tell you what, man. If Crawford leaves Top Rank and goes with PBC, I don't necessarily think PBC is going to take care of him. You know what I mean? Al Heyman's been taking care of his guys that's been with him from the start, from the beginning once PBC has been created. Sean Porter, Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman, Earl Spence Jr. And I'm going to give you a perfect example. When Manny Pacquiao left Bob Arum, who did Al Heyman throw Manny Pacquiao with? He threw him in with Keith Thurman, man. Undefeated. That's his guy. That's Al Heyman's guy. He was hoping that Keith Thurman would be able to beat the brakes off Pacquiao and add that name to his legacy, add that big name to his resume, and to help elevate him as a even further bigger star than what he is. But guess what, man? At the end of the day, Manny Pacquiao had the last laugh. But Al Heyman, he ends up winning, bro, because he's promoting or he's advising Manny Pacquiao. Even by Manny Pacquiao beating Keith Thurman, it doesn't hurt Al Heyman because it leaves him open for another fight with either Earl Spence or Sean Porter or Danny Garcia, Mikey Garcia. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, at the end of the day, bro, it's just all chess moves. There's all these different maneuvers that these guys do. They plan ahead and they plan certain moves and they see things happening before it happens. You know what I mean? And that's why it's so important, man, to have a team behind you that can understand these moves and understand that it's business. You know what I mean? Sometimes you get guys that they get into their feelings and they want to fight because they want to fight and they want this next because that's what they're demanding and blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, when they lose, what do they have to look forward to, man? You know what, bro? You lose, guess what's going to happen? Hey, man, go to the back of the line. Next man up. Let's go. And we've seen it time after time, man. You know what I mean? With the exception of Porter and Danny Garcia and these guys. Man, these guys lose, they're still in the good graces of Al Heyman. Al Heyman still puts them on pay-per-view, still gets them marquee fights. These guys still end up making millions of dollars. So what do I feel is going to take for this fight to happen? I think Bob Arum is going to have to get out of the way. And I think Bud Crawford is going to have to come to the realization that he's not the A side. He does not deserve a 50-50 split. Now, again, he is a 3-time divisional champion. I give him that. He's accomplished a lot in the sport. But at welterweight, again, this is a what have you done lately business. He does not deserve a 50% split with Earl Spence. Manny Pacquiao does. If anything, Manny Pacquiao may earn a 55 split or a 60 split. He's a legend. He's earned that right. He's fought legends. Juan Manuel Marquez, Eric Morales, Oscar De La Hoya, Miguel Cotto, Barrera, Ricky Haddon, David Diaz, Margarito. I mean, the list goes on, man. Lucas Matisse, Keith Thurman. I mean, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? Manny Pacquiao's a fucking legend. Let's see here. Did you see? Good fight deserves a rematch. Ed and Yvette Estrella says Spence needs to grow a pair. Nah, man, Spencer's a cool dude, man. He's always shown me a lot of love. Shout outs to Earl Spence, man. He's always shown me a lot of love. Texas boys, baby. Dallas, Texas, All Access Elite Boxing. Mr. All Access, baby. Let's see here. Luis M. Carlos, I remember when this all started already, man. Shout out to my boy Luis. Been a day one follower, man. Salute. They've had wars. Let's see, talking about Mr. All Access Elite Boxing starting already. My boy Francisco Olivas, hell yeah. My boy, what up, Cisco? Shout out to my boy Cisco, man, out there in San Antonio. He went to the fight tonight, man, and my boy was repping, man. He was out there repping for All Access. He did his thing, man. Shout out to my boy Cisco. Says Ed and Yvette Estrella, that drive that instilled in you by your parents or environment. Yeah, I agree, man. That drive is instilled by your parents, But going back to Travis Jr., I mean, his dad, as great as he was never really in his life. And his mom, I don't know really too much about his mom. But I mean, bro, if you, man, whatever, I'm not going to go into that. But I agree with you. It's instilled in your fundamentals, your foundation with your parents, how you're raised, and I think that has a lot to do with how you carry yourself and your ambitions and your dreams and things that you can accomplish, man. You have to have a good support system with your parents, whether it be a wife, sister, brother, whoever you live with. You know what I mean? You got to have a good support system. Colbert put the 130 division on notice. Shout outs to Ed Estrella. You know what, man? That Chris Colbert fight was a damn good fight, bro. He fought on Showtime. What was it? A few nights ago, man. And he looked good. He looked damn good. He ended up getting the knockout, I think, in the last round, if I'm not mistaken. For a fighter that's not a really big knockout artist, man, you would be surprised with his pop and with his power that he carries, man. He definitely put the division on notice. It just sucked because last week when they showed the fight, it was going head to head with the fights that were on ESPN. You know what I mean? And because it was on ESPN, it was just, man, you were kind of flipping back and forth because what stole the night was the Verdejo versus Nakatani fight. That stole the night, man. Last Saturday. But Colbert did his thing too, man. He fought a really tough warrior. Hey, Edgar, not cool. Colbert put the 100. Francisco Olivas, I know a hater. Yeah, you saw that? That's a duck. I'm listening. Let's go. Ramiro, Justin Guerra, guns. Let's go. Nope. Armstrong might have done that. And his ex took 100K. Yeah, he's talking about damn, that's cold blooded. Let's see. Paul Rizzo said, so the fight won't happen until after October next year. Yeah, man. If anything, bro, I think if it does happen, it will happen in 2022, bro. It's not going to happen next year. And possibly even 2023. It sucks. He said, did you see the Chris Colbert fight? Where are you from, brother? Who's from? Where does Verdejo go from there? You know what, man? Verdejo, we've seen it time and time again, man. When you get a fighter that's chinny, when you get a fighter that has a strong amateur pedigree, Olympian, he had such a bright future, man. Till he got into that motorcycle accident, he started feeling himself a little bit too much. And Top Rank they had a star in the making. They did the same thing with Juan Manuel Lopez. He was from Puerto Rico. It's just when they have their Puerto Rican stars, man, they just kind of do wrong by them, Now they got this kid with Eric Berlanga. He's what, 16-0, 16 straight knockouts or however many knockouts it is. First round knockouts. He's talking about, he went on Twitter tonight saying that he wants Canelo Alvarez. Saying that Canelo Alvarez and him would be a great fight, but that if he fought Smith, he would have got Smith out of there in the 6th round. I mean, it's a lot of clout chasing. You know what I'm saying? I like Berlanga, man, but I just don't think he's ready. He hasn't fought anybody. Put somebody in there that's gonna fucking fire back. Put him against Gabe Rosario. Let me see that. You know what I mean? Excuse me, Gabe Rosado. Apologies. Put him against Rosado. Let me see him. Let's see what Rosado can get. Put him against David Lemieux. You know what I mean? Put him against these fighters that's going to punch back. I want to see some, That's what I want to see, God damn it. But yeah, man, it was a hell of a night. Like I said, man, Canelo Alvarez did his thing. He did his thing. Yeah, Jesse Salazar says Edgar Berlanga, he's trying to move up real quick, man. He wants Canelo, he wants Benavidez, he wants everybody, man. But you know what? You're supposed to say that. You know what I mean? You're supposed to want that. If you're knocking all these guys out in the first round and you're making a name for yourself and you're building your following, ESPN's throwing you on the top 10 list and you're looking good, you're looking sensational, man, he's not finding anybody, man. He's like these casual boxing fans and even the announcers do a good job by just saying, "Oh, this guy's just spectacular. He's doing this." But man, these guys are club level type fighters. You know what I mean? They can't even sell out their local YMCA gymnasium. You know what I mean? These guys, they're not the C, B, or even 8 style type fighters, man. And I mean, what can you really learn from a fighter that knocks out everybody in the first round? You know, especially guys that are tomato cans. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, but it's the truth. What do you learn from that? What can you honestly learn from a fighter? You being a fighter, you're fighting somebody that you know is not going to go past the first round. What does that teach me? What am I to learn? You know, what am I supposed to go through adversity? Learn how to use my skill sets. Learn how to box. Learn how to move. Learn how to, you know, fight off my back foot. Fight off the ropes. Get out of trouble. Pivot out. You know what I mean? Learn how to set up my punches. Set up shots. Yeah, the knockout is there. I'm gonna go for it. But if I'm fighting somebody that's a sitting duck, what am I learning, man? If anything, is just building up my ego. You know what I mean? It's feeding my ego. That's all it's doing. Because I'm gonna feel like I'm the best thing since sliced bread. You know? Shit, put them in there with somebody. Then we can talk. My boy Luis says, yeah, I'm not impressed with Berlinga yet. I agree with you 100%. He hasn't fought any big names. I think I know he called out Chavez Jr. You know what I'm saying? And I think Top Rank at this point is gonna end up trying to. But see, the thing is that I don't know if Berlanga is with. I don't know if he's with Floyd Mayweather, man. I think he's either with the money team, Floyd Mayweather Promotions, or something. He's either managed by them or something, because he's always with Floyd and he's always partying with him, and he demands a lot of money when he fights. You know what I mean? And you can tell that he's gonna start wanting for Al Heyman to pay him. And if Al Heyman doesn't pay him, I mean, the guy's only fought, what, 12, between 13, 14, 15 fights, however many fights he's fought. Al Heyman ain't going to pay him, man. You know? Al Heyman is cheap. Not Al Heyman, Bob Arum. Bob Arum, apologies. Bob Arum is cheap as hell. That cheap bastard. Well, listen, guys, I appreciate y'all's time, man. Again, it's your boy Jimmy Blue. Hell of a night of boxing. I'm about to sign off. I appreciate everybody tuning in, man. Shout outs to everybody in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, everybody in Texas, all around the United States, everybody around the world, man. I appreciate the love, the support, everybody that always tunes in to All Access Elite Boxing, man. And we appreciate our fans. We appreciate everybody that shows love and support, man. I truly, truly, truly appreciate it, guys. But again, it's your boy Jimmy Blue, Mr. All Access Elite Boxing, signing off.